thank you, team. Welcome back. We've had a little break of the life learning experiences that started in March with the peak of the outbreak here in Europe, and that we have been gathering twice a week for quite a few months. We've had many interesting experiences. We had our executive bureau last week, and that is why we had to pause a little bit. But welcome back to this renewed series. 75 years ago, the world looked worse than now. It was a worse place to live, actually. The world was coming out of a war, and it was also one situation with a universal impact that led humanity to create the United Nations. And only yesterday, the President of the General Assembly of the United Nations has announced that for the first time in its history, the heads of the states are not going to be coming together at the General Assembly in September. And when I heard that, and I was preparing for this session, I thought, wow, that's bad news. And that's what made me think, okay, if I compare the world now and then, what's the difference? Many people would say we are in a war situation right now. I think that is wrong. We are in a crisis situation, in a very dramatic situation, which is unprecedented. But war brings a level of destruction that we are not seeing now, and that I think we need to build on, and we need to build hope on, just like that generation back in 1945 did, and come up with good things for the world. And that's also why I think it is so important to hold a session about peace and building peace now and for the post-pandemic. What does it entail? What is peace for us? And as we said in the fora that we held in Madrid before, peace for us is not something that is contrary to war, and it's not contrary to conflict, it's contrary to violence. And understanding the causes of violence in this urban era is very important for our constituency. I also feel that in this urban era, the role that local and regional governments need to play in building the foundations of peace is far greater than what we are acknowledging. And that our trust, the trust that we build with the communities all over the world, are the type of foundations that we necessitate to trigger the kind of change that we are all hoping for. Believe me, in this series of live learning experiences, I have heard very resolute local and regional government leaders that are already thinking about the future while dealing with the crisis now. And their thoughts on how we need to do things next are very impressive. Now we need to make sure that we avoid the conflicts that we will need to face to turn into violent situations. And we will need to make sure that all of us stop accepting the inequalities that we live with, because those inequalities are eventually going to trigger a lot of difficult conflict. And conflict is good as long as we know how to solve it. My vision of this topic for us is very relevant. Although few see us as actors in peacemaking, local and regional governments have only seen themselves like that, and the transformative diplomacy that we pull together as networks of local and regional governments are a proof of that. So I really hope that we can advance in this agenda. I'm not going to go into the contents of the forum because I really hope that our partners from Mexico that are going to host the next edition of the forum will expand on that. But in any case, I want to transmit the message of my presidency. We do feel we have a role and a responsibility towards peacekeeping, and being a meaningful actor in that action. So I hope that today we can share some of the experiences that we are going through at the moment, and that we also envision some of the recommendations that we would like to work towards in the future. I leave it there, colleagues, and I will immediately give the floor to Octavio de la Varga, who is the Secretary General of Metropolis, our metropolitan section, and also a co-organizer of this series, for whom life has also changed a lot since since the lockdown through the pandemic. Octavio, the floor is yours.